The time has come once again to speak as co-creators in Magic Do. I'm Daniel Dubois.
I'm Michaela Gaffin Stone, and we are your guides on your journey into the heart of the primordial.
Welcome to Season
And
9,
today,
episode...
may the
Oh,
winds.
ooh. What's that? Continue. I didn't have it.
We both went at the same time.
Yeah.
So I was going to jump in and say, may the winds of change blow in your favor.
Mm, yes. Welcome to Season 9, Episode 11. Yeah, the wings of change. Not the winds, the
Mm.
wings.
Oh, I like that too. Wings of change, winds of change. Yes, we can play.
Yeah.
That's all
So,
good.
yeah, uh, there's a lot of busyness I find in the magical ether. Ooh, card, wings, birds,
Yes.
feathers.
Seeing as you said wings of
Yeah.
change, I got my crow deck out.
Yeah.
So continue. I'll just sit
Right.
and play with this until it calls to be pulled.
So there's a lot of change right now going on. I've noticed. I've worked on some of it, but there is like we've been saying this season enough times now, but it really is the time to really put aside any hesitancy, any feeling of like this is a trend rather than something you're actually doing. Like this is just kind of, oh, I do this, but I'm not really committed to it. Like it's time to,
Yeah,
I guess I'll use the
I
term.
mean,
Yeah, good.
we have to just start doing and not keep talking about it. We are, as a species, we are very addicted to preparation,
Right.
and we're very addicted to one more thing and then all,
Yes.
and that preparation phase can it can plague you your entire life. Like you can say, stay stuck in that, and it feels productive because you're doing more work, you're preparing. So it feels
Yeah.
like, yeah, but I'm doing a lot of necessary things. However, there's only so much preparation, and then seriously, you just got to go do the thing. And so that's the wings of change, the winds of change, all
Yeah.
of it. It's happening now. So either, get going or acknowledge to yourself that you're not going to, because there's no need for more preparation.
Yeah. It's funny because it brings back, I was telling a story this week about, just this kind of thing where one place I had worked, it was Monday and everyone was like, oh my God, just crowing about how their weekend was so productive. And I was listening and I kind of, and maybe a little rudely said, so what? What did you do? You polluted the environment for stuff you didn't have to do. I said, like, I did those things too, but you know what? I walked or took the bus. And I didn't get up at like early on a Saturday to do it. I just went in the afternoon and did everything. And then you guys just did extra shit that was not necessary, but it made you look like you're important and you're busy and you're,
And we do get caught up in the busyness, the
yeah,
whole extra. Um, and funnily enough, the card I just pulled, which made me give you a big grin,
right.
is the card of
Abundant.
abundance, the crow of abundance. Embrace abundance through gratitude and openness. Invite blessings and opportunities into your life. That is exactly where we're at right now. It's there, you've prepared, you've done all the things. Even if you haven't done all the things, somebody else has. It's ready. You're ready. You can move forward with whatever that looks like for you. Preparation is over, done, finish. Get over it and get on with it.
Yeah,
Um, and it sounds like I'm saying, look, it's easy, but it kind of is. You just have to stop doing the endless preparation and
yeah,
acknowledge that, now you're going to walk. Now you're going to
yeah,
move forward.
yeah. Because like today, So I did a number of spells today, and two of them were related to this current generation of people who are coming active, I guess is the word, right? The people on the second web. And the spell was the first one was like it was a travel spell, sort of like more of a, in the spiritual sense of, you know, letting your spirit go around in the world. And then the follow-up spell that came up next for that was okay, now that you've traveled around, pick your place of power
Hmm,
because this is where you're working from now,
right. Which also speaks to, stop preparing. You've done
right?
the travel, you've done the things.
Yeah.
It's time to pick what your action is. And the conversation that's been coming up a lot lately, and it seems to be pertinent. So let's see where it
All
goes.
right.
I don't know. AI,
Mm,
artificial intelligence. Like I actually had somebody ask me the other day on a post that I'd put up if the graphic I'd used was created by AI. And I looked at the question and I thought, well, it's kind of a stupid question in a way, honestly. It's not very kind of me, but that was my thought
mm,
because, of course, it's AI. How the hell am I making a graphic otherwise? I'm not going to paint one. Like, what do you mean? So my response was, well, yeah, the graphics AI, but the quote is mine.
right.
The words I put in it were mine. And that I think is a great example of my stance for one on AI, which is artificial intelligence is here to stay. It's very helpful, it's really useful, and it does not replace wisdom. It will not replace wisdom. So instead of looking at, complaining about it or running around like a chicken with its head cut off, the sky is falling, we have AI, all our jobs are going to go. If you can't outdo an AI in your field, then what are you even doing?
Mm,
You know, pick a subject such as fitness instructors. I know that that was a huge panic for fitness
right.
instructors because of all the apps that are coming out. Okay, what that actually does is it changes the client's entry point
Yes.
into working with a personal trainer because now they'll have seen the apps, they'll have tried something, no doubt, whether it's on YouTube or whether it's on, getahotbody.com
Mm.
app. I don't know if that's a real thing, so please don't look it up just in case it's the wrong kind of
I
app.
guess it's something
But,
else.
it could be something else entirely. But they're going to try the exercises and then realize that doesn't really do much for me, or it doesn't feel right, or ouch, that hurt. I need a trainer to look at how I'm doing it to see that I'm doing it right. Same thing goes with nutrition. Yes, you can get apps for that, but it's nutrition coach or, a dietitian, whatever your needs are. The person who's done the work, who's done the study, they are going to be able to say, yeah, spinach might be good for you, but you're breaking out in hives, you might not want to eat it. Try
Right.
this instead, right?
Hmm.
So you need the flexibility of a human that an AI doesn't have. AI
Right.
follows parameters and it can only work on what you give it. And
Well,
we
that's
don't
even
typically know enough to give it enough, right?
right. That's exactly it because like my own professional experience, right? So my computer career was like the late 90s into the 2000s. And back then when people were discussing like the discussion was will like office suites and stuff like that replace going to a printer and getting banners made and all that kind of stuff. Well, it never did. The people who couldn't afford to go to a printer and get a banner done are the only people really doing it on their own. But the people who can afford to do it because the lesson was learned is that the creativity and the design sense doesn't exist in everyone. So you still need the people with those skills to do it. It's just quicker and more efficient now for the
Right,
people who do it.
right. And with reference to the person asking
Mm.
the rather, I don't know. I don't know what she was looking for, trying to shame me or something, but asking the question about did you make that with AI? Well, I'm not taking an artist's job away by doing that because I wouldn't hire an artist to do that work. If I didn't have the ability to create a graphic using AI, I just would have put it out there without anything. or
Right.
maybe a photo underneath or something. So, ain't no big thing as far as I'm concerned. If you're an artist, the thing that you can create cannot be replicated by AI. I don't care how advanced it becomes, it will always be lacking something that a human artist has.
Yeah.
And, I signed up for something recently because I haven't done it before, so I want to try it. And that is, I'm going to spend 2 days with an artist in October,
Mm.
and she's very spiritual as well. So there's a lot of soul work and stuff in there. But she's going to work with me and maybe a couple of other people to do our own paintings.
Hmm.
I can't paint worth a damn. Like I have never done it, which is precisely why I'm going to go do it. But this artist, who by the way sold a lot of her work at the event that we were both at, she's also bringing her skills to, hey, I can create this experience for you. So AI isn't going to do her out of a job.
No.
Now when it comes to, so bring all of what I just said into magic, this AI can spit out spells for you if you want. Um, if you don't have soul, if you don't have intent in there, if the meaning is superficial, then so will be your results. Right.
Right.
So again, it's not something to fear. It's fine. Like you'll get you'll get out of it what you put in.
Yes.
So AI is not something to be feared. Now, okay, let me go there. The environmental impact of AI. Yes, there is a huge environmental impact from the data centers. Why? Because the greedy sons of raccoons
Mm.
who own the data centers and build them aren't using renewable energy. But they could.
Right.
They could design it very differently. We have the knowledge, we have the technology. So the problem is not the data centers. The problem is the people who are building the data centers
Right.
and their greediness. So it is a human error again.
Well, and this ties actually into something because this is something that happens all along, right? When there was a gas shortage, everyone was like, when people really started pushing for environmental protections and stuff like that, the big thing was, people have to stop using their cars as much and all those kinds of things. But making the car makes more pollution than driving the car for a lifetime will. You, as the end user of the car, will never generate as much pollution as making the car did.
Right. So really, where do you have to make the alterations?
Right. Well, that's what I was going to say. The data, all these data centers, it's not for your use of AI. That's not what's causing all these data centers to creep up. Even if there was no other way of powering them, it's not the end user. It's not the everyday end user that's doing this.
No, it isn't. And it's sort of surveillance uses, it's
Hmm.
military uses. It's also that they insist on keeping all our data.
Yeah.
If they didn't do that, which they haven't always done, if they didn't do that, you wouldn't need the size and the quantity of data centers that we need. So there's many, many areas that could be addressed differently, and none of them are the end user.
Yeah.
So that's something I just want to put out there because it generalizes to other areas, such as if you're working in magic or if you're working in energetics, you're connecting to spirit world somehow. Um, don't get sidetracked by the noise that's going on, telling you we have to fight data centers or we have to fight this, we have to go and do that. No, you don't, because it's a fight you can't win, largely because the entry point where you're fighting isn't the problem,
Right.
right? So there's nothing really to win there. I'm trying to shame people into, you shouldn't use AI to create a graphic. Well, okay, but I'm gonna do it because that's people engage with an image that has text on it more than they engage with plain text.
Well,
And it's
that's the
very
thing, right?
easy for me to use my words and an AI's graphic. It's very easy to do that. So I'm gonna
Yeah.
do it.
It's funny because it's that classic old, like when you look at environmental summits, everyone who participated in the summit caused way more pollution than any one individual or any, like, what is it?
They
taking your
flew
private
there for a
jet.
start off.
What's that?
Yeah, they flew there for a start off.
Right. They could have all flown together, but they didn't. They all came in individually for the most part. Like they all didn't come in the way they told us to do it.
Right. And that I think this ties in nicely with
Mm.
gurus right now.
Right.
And if you've listened to this podcast for a while, you know very clearly my opinion of
Mm.
gurus. Um, they are untrustworthy as a species, and I am not a fan right now. I'm really pissed at them still.
Mm.
But the guru is the person who's turning around telling you how you need to live your life to improve things for everybody else. But
Yeah.
what they're doing themselves is not what they're telling you to do. And this is the environmentalists are doing it, the gurus are doing it spiritually. You got to really pay attention who's talking and what kind of walk are they walking. Because really, is this something really that you need to take on as an individual? Is it going to make a difference? I don't deny climate change. I don't deny that we are entirely screwing up this planet, but we're looking at the wrong people to fix it.
Yeah.
And it's, the janitor isn't going to fix your computer problems.
Right.
So nothing wrong with being a janitor, nothing wrong with being a computer person, but you can't confuse the one for another.
Right.
It doesn't work that way.
I'm
So
kind of
we,
glad.
we really need to get a grip of that.
Right. And I'm glad we're on this topic actually, because it's one of the things that's been bugging me lately, anyways, or that's been the biggest issue is people getting stuck and fighting the wrong people and
Yes,
fighting with the
yes,
wrong
yes,
people.
yes, exactly.
And that's why the environmental movement is a great example of it, because like I said, right, like the people telling you to not pollute and giving you rules to follow are polluting in a day more than you'll ever pollute in your lifetime.
Yes,
Like when you look at it,
absolutely.
right? The American military is the worst polluter in the world, and they don't get anything put on them to restrict their pollution. And then you have car manufacturing, right? One car will always exceed the pollution a person makes. A steel mill will in one day use the amount of water that the community it's built near will use in 100 years. But yet that community is the one who asked to hold back on their water use.
Yeah, exactly. So we are so used to smacking the little guy
Right.
for the big guy's problem that this is one of the things that we really have to stop doing. Stop fighting with the wrong people. And I'm totally going to go there with the anti-Semitism thing
Right.
right now, because you have got to be able to see how many anti-Semitic attacks are happening
Mm.
to Jews globally, but especially in places like Canada and in the US. Canada's appalling for it. You've got so many Jews trying to leave Canada now because it's unsafe. But whether or not, whatever your views are on Palestine,
Mm.
and you can be as rabid about that as you like fully go for it. How can you possibly make the connection that I'm against everything that's happening in Gaza? This is terrible, shouldn't be doing it. Therefore, I'm going to beat up a Jewish person, the first one I see. Right? How the fuck do you get from I don't like what's going on in Gaza, to I'm going to beat up all the Jews and let's
Right.
firebomb the synagogues? You are fighting the wrong people. This is not, you're abusing people who can't do anything about your problem. They cannot fix what's happening in Gaza. The Jewish child
Right.
who's threatened in a school or beaten up, they don't even know what you're talking about. So how can you how can you do that and expect a different outcome? You're not going to change what's happening in Palestine by doing that.
Right. And
It's
that's the thing.
it's not it's not going to alter. You're not going to fix anything in Gaza because you beat up a Jew. So that's something that's happening. Then the whole stop using AI. Well, okay, you can go to the Stone Age if you like, but I'm not going there with you. And there's so many places where we go after the wrong people. For
Yep.
fuck's sake, would you stop it? Seriously, I'm ready to go amok with the baseball bat on this one. It's driving me nuts. It's so
Yeah.
easy to see if you just stop and look.
Yeah.
Just stand still long enough to look, and then you can see, wait, this doesn't make sense. Trans people, Why are you going after trans people? You think they're having a life that's so amazing, wonderful, easy? They're raking in the money. They live to go and pee next to you so you can be traumatized. Like, again, what the ever-loving
Yeah.
fuck? Could you get a clue? These it doesn't matter who's peeing next to you. Why are you even worried about that?
Mm.
Like that they're not doing anything to you. If somebody's gay, so what? Were you going to sleep with them and somehow you weren't
Right.
able to now? Like what are we even talking about here? We are being sidetracked in so many different directions. How have you even got energy left to do anything magical, to do anything spiritual, to actually focus on your own self-improvement, your own growth?
Yeah.
You can't if you're busy fighting all these puerile battles. That, funnily enough, the card that came up was
Anger.
anger.
Yeah.
Channel anger into constructive action and understanding. It can fuel positive change and personal growth. And
Yeah.
I have to say, cracks me up that I pulled that one because I
Yeah.
am pissed at people allowing themselves to be sidetracked. Stop it already.
Yeah. Well,
Grr.
it's incredible the amount of people who will not look at the actual source of the problem and just react to the thing being said, even if it doesn't make sense. Like if I tell you, I'm trying to think, like, so when someone gives you a number that obviously doesn't make sense for the situation, you know, like if I tell you there's 20,000 people in this town and town X only has like 5,000 people, how can there be 20,000 of whatever people you hate? And you're the majority of the population, but yet there's 20,000 people in your community. I'm like, that's not possible because you only have 5,000 people in your community. Why are you angry at
Right.
this? Like, you should know. Like, it's how I usually spot scams because I live in a small town, right? But
Uh-huh.
everything I get as a scam is treating me like as if I lived in a large urban center where I wouldn't know any of the people potentially. It's like
Right.
that person looks like no one who lives here, like not even like no family I can see or no connections. And it's like and they can't possibly live like 5 kilometers from me because 5 kilometers from me is like woods. So it's like they can't be living there.
Right. Right.
So
Yeah. But when you get sidetracked
yeah.
by these arguments and particularly the anti-Semitism that's going
Mm,
on, that enrages me on so many levels because while you are engaging in this hatred that
right.
shows that person not in a very good light, right? Like, seriously, this is something you're prepared to do. Wow, Germany, here we are
Mm,
again. Plus, because they have the lessons from before and yet still it did nothing. So
yeah.
that kind of person, it's like, how are you okay with spending your energy in that way? How do you reconcile that, I'm going to physically abuse this group of people because I don't like what that group of people in a different country are doing, and they share a religion, they share an identity. It's like saying, I don't like ISIS, therefore anybody that's Muslim
Mm,
is going to get beaten up. Well, that did not happen. That did not happen. There have been isolated instances over the years, but there was not mass Islamophobia anywhere near there has been for Jews with anti-Semitism. So, point being, it doesn't make sense. It didn't make sense for Islam. It doesn't make sense for Judaism. It doesn't make sense to go after a particular religion. And where we're getting to now with Keg's breath, the
mm.
military,
Yeah.
the guy who likes to consider himself
Yeah.
Minister of War, God help us all. Um, he's just removed tons of
Yes, the religion
religions,
thing,
but
yes.
also the
Out of
religion thing.
200, 180 are gone or something like that.
There's something like 31 left,
Yeah.
and 20 plus
Yeah.
are various versions of Christian.
Yes.
And so, bless, Wicca got taken off. Now, I'm like, come on, Wicca, Baha'i,
Yeah.
Amish. I don't think Amish were taken off, and I'm sure they were ever on. But in any case, those kind of religious groups, they're not bothering anybody. They're not doing anything. You know, Wicca's very gentle. It's let's all
Hmm.
love and light and hold hands and dance in
Yeah,
circles kind of deal. I don't mean to be rude, but they are kind of it's a religion and it's sort of witchcraft light, if you will. You know, that's the group of people. You sure they're not going to hex you because they'd be too afraid to.
right.
I'm not Wiccan, don't piss me off. Is what I'm
Yeah.
gonna say. But
I,
you
on
know,
the other
because
hand, I'm not Wiccan, so yeah,
I don't follow
yeah,
that doctrine, that dogma, right? But these have all been removed now. Why? What are we doing? Oh, maybe we're setting the stage for a literal
yeah,
witch hunt. Uh-huh. Let's get them
yeah.
out of the military first, because you know what happens? The military you've got left isn't going to care about those people.
Well, that's
It's
the
going to
thing,
be
right?
very easy to alienate them.
Yeah, it's not going to be your best military in the world either, though. But
It's
yeah,
under duress now, but yeah.
when you get to people who are happy to shoot first and then ask questions later, you get lots of trouble.
Uh-huh. But
And it's
also
not just that,
when
like, it's not even if you look at it from the perspective of we're going to go out and just shoot the enemy regardless with any, with impunity. It's those guns get turned inwards
that's my
because that
point.
lack of restraint that goes outwards turns inwards too.
Uh-huh. And that's my point, is they're
Yeah,
not really going to identify with the people that they are going to be asked to hunt.
right.
And if they're not on that list, you can be pretty sure that there's somebody's coming after them sooner or later. There will be a literal witch hunt. So
Yeah,
do I feel comfortable knowing this? No. Is there a way to avoid it? Probably not. Will I fight and be mouthy about it? Yeah, absolutely.
mm,
But that's the taking action. Like you can't prepare at this point. There's nothing left to prepare for.
no, there isn't. Today was well, not today, as in when you, well, maybe I don't know how that's gonna. I try not to figure out where the when the episodes land, does it match? Because it doesn't correspond, right? Because today I cast the spell, but we're not. This isn't coming out for another 2 weeks, probably.
Right.
So you would have already had 2 weeks worth of probably figuring out your place of power, or maybe this is the first time it connects. Because the thing is, all the magic I'm doing is about it still has consent factor to it. So
Right.
just because I did the spell doesn't mean you either accepted the spell or received the spell or allowed yourself to receive the spell.
And here's the thing too, in magic, consent is
Mm,
hugely important.
yeah. Well, yes.
As well as in day-to-day life.
Right.
But as consent and the perceived need for it in human
Mm,
interactions is being actively eroded, or
yeah.
they're certainly trying to, as that is being eroded, again, it sets up this idea of, well, I can do things you don't see without consent as well.
Yeah.
And that's actually not true. There will be issues coming forward if you do things without consent. Like that's don't get sucked in on that direction because it's not going to go well. I mean, okay, if you're listening to this and you're the kind of person that would get sucked into it, then I don't even know what to say
Mm,
other than fuck you and the horse you rode in on. But um yeah, it's you got to watch out for those people though who don't
mm,
care about consent, who think consent is a joke. You got to
mm,
watch out for those people. So
yeah.
we've said before, you don't have to do magic in isolation, but do be careful who you hang
Yeah.
out with.
Yes.
That's important.
Yeah. And but do remember, there's a reason why consent is important, and it's not just because you're trying to be kind. Because the more aligned you are, the easier things flow. So, hence why consent is incredibly important because consent helps that alignment. It's why vampires need to be invited in. It's why, well, actually, most supernatural creatures have always had to be invited in.
It's also consent is more than being kind.
Yeah.
It's recognizing the other person's
Right.
autonomy and putting things on an energetic even keel.
Hmm. Yeah.
And if you don't have that even distribution, if you will, things will go awry. They won't go
Well,
well.
yes. So this gets down to a brass tacks thing. If you do not get the consent of the person to work with you, then you have to take a bigger chunk of the work. You have to put more efforts into it than if you had just got cooperation.
Yes. And it's still going to bite you in the ass
Yeah.
eventually if you are using somebody else's energy for
Right.
your own ends without their consent. That's
Hmm.
it's just so important. Like you can get away with some stuff in the physical realm, which I don't think is a good idea to get away with it, but you can and people do on a daily basis. And that's one thing, and you'll sort your own reckoning out with that one day. But when it comes to using energy and working with magic, I really don't recommend messing around with that. Just do not do things either with the assumption that the other person's okay with
Mm.
it or not caring. Like those are both red flags. One is like 6 foot tall and 6 foot across, and that would be the one
Yeah.
of not caring. And the other one is, half the size, but still a red flag.
Uh, I also want to throw into the reminder because we said this on the podcast, especially in the beginning, a lot of times. Or, and I've said it in the before time. For Michaela. Consent,
Before time.
yes. Consent is not saying yes, do it. Consent is also taking actions to prevent it from happening. Like I said, if you don't want someone to break into your house, you don't leave your door open. You close it.
Yeah, it is on you to, well, we've talked about putting up protections
Yeah,
before and cleaning your energy and offloading any hijackers when you come back to
right.
your space. So that, yes, it is on you to do that. That's yes.
Because I was going to say, in fact, when I knew this before, but it got reinforced when I saw that there was actually literature on this. So abusers set up consent ahead of time by testing you to see what you will stand up against and what you won't stand up against. And it's usually things you don't realize a lot of times.
Consent or tolerance?
They would call it consent.
I'm going to call it tolerance. Like you
Mm,
can, it's the frog in the pot, right?
mm,
You turn the water, the frog swimming around, the water temperature is just fine. Then you turn the stove on underneath, only just a
right,
little, and the water slowly warms up. By the time it reaches boiling point, the frog, who did not figure it out, didn't notice
right.
because the change was slow, is too late to get out and it gets cooked. And that's building a tolerance, building an acceptance, which isn't exactly the same as consent. It's semantics, but I think it's important to.
Well, what I mean as my example is that this was actually someone had given because it was for relationships. If you are a kind of person that is not very comfortable with being touched immediately and you need time to warm up to someone, your abuser
Mhm.
will do things to touch you. They'll kiss you on the hand, they'll touch you gently, like as if a romantic gesture, but you're not comfortable with it, but you allow it to happen because you think, well, it's a romantic gesture. I don't want to scare them off, kind of a thing.
Mm.
So the abusers, yes, conditioning you to see how much they can get away with, so they can get away with more.
Yes.
But they're checking
Yes.
about when you're going to fight back and when you're not going to, what you're going to stand for, what you're going to allow yourself to put up with, or yeah, what you're willing to,
Tolerate.
yes, what you're going to tolerate. So they can push you more and more until they get to the point where they'll abuse you and you've tolerated so much that you don't fight back like you would have had they just started off beating you up.
I see where you're going with that. Yeah, I see where you're going. Hmm. Well, food for thought, as I think
Yeah.
this episode is going to be.
But this works for your
Hopefully,
magic,
it's going
right?
to be
So
anyway.
depending on the entities you're working with, the more you allow to happen that you wouldn't normally tolerate, but the more you let happen, the more you make it easier. Oh, renewal. Embrace the renewal to a chance.
Renewal. Embrace renewal as a chance to start fresh. It rejuvenates your spirit and outlook. There you go. That's what the crow flying over the flames said.
Mm, yeah. So think about those things for yourself because those of you who are telling you it's time to move forward, it's time to move forward for you guys. But you're gonna feel it because you're gonna feel like you can't just sit anymore anyways. It's gonna be like a restlessness that comes up.
Yeah. And I think channeling the restlessness in
Mm,
a way that's going to move you forward, not just deplete your
right.
energy. So a big clue here is if you are yelling at a group of people and you have been doing so for some time now, if you haven't had the results, could you stop doing it and
Mm,
find something different to do? So, for example, we've been doing this asinine dance for far too long now over the Epstein files, right?
right.
And before somebody throws a computer out the window, hear me out. I am not saying that the Epstein files are, fine, ignore them, whatever. No, no, no. This whole thing needs to be brought forward, opened up. People need to be arrested and dealt with. However, it is not happening. It hasn't been happening. It doesn't seem that this kind of pressure is what's going to make it happen. So let's stop doing that and find something more productive to do that will make a difference. So if you can't, there's a story of the sun and the wind getting into a competition,
Right.
and both of them say that they're the strongest. And so there's a human walking along with a coat on, and the wind says, "Look, I'm so strong, I'm going to blow that person's coat off." And so the wind blows strongly, and the person's hanging onto the coat for all they can, and they button it up and so on. And the sun says, "No, I think I've got this one." And the sun shines as brightly and
Mm,
as fully as it can, and the poor person in the coat is now cooking, and so
mm,
they take their coat off. The point being, yes, so the sun was stronger, but the point I'm bringing from this story is if it doesn't work blowing on it, try cooking it. Like, let's do it
yeah.
something differently. What we've
Right.
been doing with the Epstein files isn't working. The
Right.
people who are in those files don't give a shit. If they did, they wouldn't have done the things they did.
Right.
So, how are you going to shame them or embarrass them or yell at them enough to have them actually held accountable or
Right.
have something happen? We have hours and hours and hours of testimony from the women involved and some
Hmm.
men and people who were, itty bitty children or people who saw things.
Yep.
There's so much testimony. Why is that not sufficient? There's so many things to look at there, but all of them lead to the same place, which is what we've been doing isn't working. So
Right.
let's stop doing that. Do something different. Now, what else could it be? What else is possible? Let's look at it differently. So many things are like that now. You want to fix the situation in Palestine? Stop attacking Jews. Do something differently. A lot of Jews would agree with you, but you're too busy beating them up to know that. So how about you try a different approach? You know, the Trump administration, who are making tons of money out of the whole
Hmm.
deal, maybe you want to look at them. Netanyahu, he was about to have his ass thrown in jail when the whole
Hmm.
Gaza thing blew up. Timing was questionable, I gotta say. But in any case, he has done exactly what the nut job in chief here has done and said, "Oh, well, I'd better stay in power because
Yeah.
things are unstable." People don't want him there. So why are you beating up people who can't even vote for or against when even in his own country there are many that don't want him there? Like, none of this makes sense. But people are doing over and over again what isn't working. Now, you look at Albania.
Yeah. But
Albania just said, "Excuse me, you think you're doing what now?" And they set the president, prime minister, whatever he is,
mm,
they set his house on fire.
yeah.
And, there was a whole load of, "Oh, no, you don't, sunshine."
Yeah.
Didn't take them long.
Yeah,
right?
South
They
Korea
took a
didn't South
different
Korea do something
approach.
similar? They didn't burn the thing down, but they basically called the president or whatever to court
Where?
in South Korea, I think, a couple years
Yes,
ago. Yeah,
yes, there was a whole thing there too. Like,
yeah,
the other places, they're doing it differently and they get results. So this yelling at
yeah,
people and using all your energy in a hateful way, you idiot. You're completely suckered into whoever this is for, like, just take it. Because, allowing yourself to be suckered like this
mm,
is a fool's game, and you're totally going to be wearing all of that egg on your face soon.
right.
Just use your energy for better things.
And now is the time where a lot of magical stuff is in play for you to make use of.
Yes. Yeah, like connect with the spiritual world
Yeah,
because the people who are disconnected from it, they're the ones who are lost. Like they're
yeah,
literally lost, wandering around, wondering where the hell they are, why are they here, what's their purpose? Well, you lost your connection.
yeah,
You have a purpose as much as anyone does, but if you've lost your connection to what is nature, what is here on this planet, that's natural and good. If you've lost your connection to that, then how do you expect to know what your purpose is?
right.
You gotta get in touch with that.
And remember, because the interesting thing is that the people who went out of their way to break you from that connection, right, to take your power, have done it to themselves too, because they're
Yeah, they
now
want you to be as miserable as them.
right, because now they don't have that power anymore either for themselves. Ooh, awakening, crow of awakening.
Yep. An awakening in this card, it says experience awakening through self awareness and expanded consciousness, bringing clarity and deep insight. I love playing with oracle cards. I
Mm,
really do. I just sit here shuffling them every now and then. I pull one, and
yeah,
they're so good because it seems to fit with what we're talking about. And I appreciate, yes, I am being a bit feisty today, but that is how it's coming through. So
right.
that is how I have to give it.
Well, the spirit world has been very feisty lately.
It has. It has. And I can see why. It's fair enough. It's like, for fuck's
And
sake, just
so,
get it together, people.
yeah. So I'll just reiterate this thing of like, so I said, right, there was the first wave. So when I was doing magic, they had a web where I would cast spells and it would go through the web and it would go to everyone of that first wave. That wave
Yep.
is gone. The second wave is in existence right now when I'm casting spells going for the second wave. But the energy for the second wave, the spells, the vibe of it is far more aggressive than the first one ever was. The first one is like we are here to spread awareness. We're
Right.
the easy way,
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah. It's just like, hey, you might
So
want to
now
think
the
about
second wave.
this.
And the second wave has very aggressive spirit protection, has very aggressive ways to spread the message.
Well, if a gentle tap on the shoulder doesn't
Yeah.
do it, a kick in the shin will.
Yes.
So that's where we're at. It's still awareness for those who didn't get there yet, and
Yeah.
awareness for those who were there and slipped.
Mm,
And I don't mean slipping into sin or any of this stuff. No,
right.
no, no. You let your attention wander. You got caught up in the stories that people are weaving. Like when you look at, oh, you're going to love the next card. When you look at social media, for example, consider what they are trying to make you feel.
Yes.
Not what they're trying to sell you necessarily, not what kind of information they're giving you. How are they trying to make you feel? Because that's where the power lies. You can motivate people to do heinous things if you use their feelings, if you hit them in the emotions, which is
Mm,
what happens with the whole Palestine, let's beat up the Jews thing. That's exactly what's happening there. Did anybody care about the Uyghurs? Is anybody looking at situations in Africa where there's all kinds of stuff going on? No, they don't give a fuck because their emotions haven't been tapped in, right? It's not a big deal. We had that time in the 80s of feed the world. Hey, man, there's
yeah.
starving people in Africa. Everybody tried to send them their peas.
Mm,
It didn't do anything. It didn't go anywhere.
right.
Nothing happened. Big noise. Few rock stars made their money out
Yeah.
of it and
Yeah.
restored their reputations and
Yep.
whatever else. So good for them. But people only cared for a while, and they only cared because their emotions
Right.
were called into play. They were prodded
Yes.
in them. If you look at the last time that the US went after Iraq, after 9/11
Mm.
and the whole, you with us or
Yeah.
against us, axis of evil, yada yada. Okay. What did they do? They showed tons of footage of crying children and
Mm.
starving people and terrible things. Why? They're trying to make you feel something.
Yep.
Because when you feel strongly, you will agree to consent. Okay. You
Hmm.
will
Yep.
agree to, you will allow a
Yes.
whole bunch of things that if you only step back and look at, that's not what you're here for. That's not what we came to do. Why are you hating on this entire group of people? Oh, because this politician needs to revive their career,
Yep.
or, they're trying to make a point. But wars usually happen because of politicians trying to save their careers. Netanyahu's doing it, Trump's doing it. Way back in the early 80s, Argentina went to war with the UK over the
Mm.
Falkland Islands, also known as Malvinas, depending on
Yep.
which side you wish to be on. Why? Because the people in power in Argentina were getting abuse hurled at them for all the inflation and the
Hmm.
terrible situation for their people. So they said, let's distract them with a good war and we'll win this one. It's easy because it's miles away from England. They're not going to care. Well, they took on Margaret Thatcher. So there was your mistake right
Mm.
there, because the Iron Lady wasn't going to listen to anybody. And nope,
Right.
absolutely not a fan. Um, but that's why they did that. These wars always happen for this reason. This is
Yeah.
an this is an Epstein, we're robbing you blind kind of war that's going on right now. That's what's happening. People are still getting sucked in. I
Yeah.
could just go around slapping people to like, could you just get a clue?
Yeah. It's we'll just touch on it because I don't really want to go this way in the podcast, but like I always think about it like when because you brought up Margaret Thatcher, and I think about the people who still sing her praises today, what they say. And one of the things is like, better to give tax breaks than to give money for something. And I'm like, here's the problem. The tax breaks don't help the people with no money.
Right.
All you end up doing is giving a tax break for the wealthy after because they're the ones who will benefit from a tax break.
Well, look at the US right now. Who's getting
Yeah.
the tax breaks? The billionaires are.
Yeah. But
They're
if I
not
make like,
spending their money here. The trickle
yeah,
down economy isn't a thing. It doesn't
yeah,
work.
I prefer the expression, don't piss on my back and tell me it's raining. Trickle
There you
down is
go.
not money trickling down. It's not it's trickling down.
Exactly.
Yeah. But it's, yeah, because it's like, it's the idea, because people fall for it. They're like, yeah, if we get a tax break, that's a lot better. No, it's not, because it's like, my actually real even better favorite example of it is sometimes you'll get insurance where if you need glasses, you go buy the glasses and they reimburse you. Okay, well, my problem is I couldn't afford the glasses in the first place, which is why I got insurance. So now I can't get the
Right.
glasses and I'm paying for insurance.
Right.
So,
Yes. This is part of the problem of the system, and we
right,
get stuck in thinking we have to be there
right. And
in
people talk
in
like
that space.
the same people who support Margaret Thatcher are the people who are toting this is brilliant. And then the people who accept that as being brilliant, I don't know what to tell you because you're literally not paying attention. And then you're going to go
And
blame the poor
that's
person on welfare you're not paying enough money to even put a dent in the GDP.
right. And the person on welfare, like, have a look at your system
Yeah.
and see, does it support them getting off welfare? Because, for
Right.
example, when I was in Canada, and this was in Ontario, I had a friend there, um, well-educated French Canadian lass,
Mm.
and she was on welfare, and she got this new baby.
Mm.
She desperately wanted off welfare.
Yeah.
She did not want to be on welfare. And she tried and she tried and she tried. And every time she got a job or she got something, she got a step forward, they would look and say, oh, well, if you're making that much money, we'll
Yeah.
take that out of what we give you.
Yeah.
So she could never get ahead. And it got to the point where if she took a job, they'd remove all her money from her.
Right.
So now she's working to get less money and she's got
Yes.
to find childcare,
Hmm.
right? So the whole thing was just what? you're making it easier for her to stay on welfare and she doesn't want to be on it. And it's hard for her to get off because you're kicking her in the ankles every time she tries to take a step forward.
There's
What are you
I was on it
doing?
too in Ontario, and they do nothing to help you get out.
Right. So what? You can't bitch about it if you keep people stuck
Right.
on it. It's like hanging up flypaper and then saying, "Oh, I don't like that. I've got a lot of bugs on the flypaper." Well,
Yeah.
don't hang it up there.
Yeah.
Like, oh,
But it's, yeah.
these kind of
But
things
that's what I
drive me
mean.
nuts.
People, and even like well-intentioned people, because they're so used to hearing that particular kind of propaganda, don't realize what's happening. It's like,
Right.
listen, you're being convinced of something. Meanwhile, like, so in Canada, right, you have de Havilland, which owns Boeing, and they get money from the government every year, but yet they're profitable. I'm like, you're
So yeah,
paying
why are
more
you paying
into de
them?
Havilland than you're paying into the person on welfare by far,
Right.
but you're not going
And
after de Havilland.
okay, in
Yeah.
2008, when there was the huge financial crash in the US,
Right.
who got the money? The banks did.
Yes.
They gave they gave money to the banks. The people still lost their houses.
Right.
People still lost their jobs. They lost
Yeah.
their health because they didn't have health insurance. They gave money and bailed out the
Right.
banks.
And all they had to do was
What?
bail out
The
the people.
ever-loving.
Yeah. And all they had to do was
Give the
bail out the
money to the
mortgage
people.
holders or the people who had the
Right,
mortgage because the banks would have been solvent after.
right. Give the money to the people and then they can pay their mortgages, they can pay their
Mm.
rent, they can
Yeah.
employ people, they could do all the things. And yet knowing that, and you cannot tell me they didn't know that because it really
No, they
is
knew,
basic.
which is why,
It's basic.
right? Like at first, I was like, oh, yeah, Obama's a good president. Then I'm like, hold on. He's for this. He helped negotiate
Yeah.
this. What the hell? Before he became president. So, like, no, no. That's where you get caught.
There's a lot going on, and what it all comes down to is the system is bullshit. The
Yep.
system, which is the patriarchal system, because it's the men in charge of all of these things and calling the shots and putting out the propaganda, and then they're convincing your average male that, hey, this is good for you. You've got the good spot.
Mm.
No, you don't. No, you absolutely don't. You are not in a good position.
Right.
And when they alienate men from women and women from men, telling each of us that the other
Right.
one sucks, then what do you have? Like, again, look at it. It's like the Gaza Jew thing. What
Mm.
have you got? Railing against the one does not improve the other. It won't do that. It's like, oh my God, my head could explode at this point. I'm so
Yeah.
frustrated by it all. It's and I am not the only person that sees this. I cannot be because it's basic common sense. And I'm having this conversation with you. We have not talked
Mm.
about this before, except on the podcast, and
Yeah.
you get it. So
Hmm.
how is it that we have people who are being sucked in to the fight? They're fighting the wrong people.
Yeah.
Good. Yeah, stop it. Like, oh my
Well,
God.
it's the, we're going to say something on this podcast that people have been saying forever. They keep you occupied.
Yes.
To borrow the words from Rick Mercer, the average Canadian, mind you, this is a now a dated reference, but as long as they can watch Homer Simpson on TV, they don't care what's happening. They're sedated. It's the breads and circuses. The Romans did it. It is so
Mhm.
old.
Well, in the
Like,
US, we have American football.
yeah,
And I have to say, I'm an absolute fan. I will go to the
right.
Coliseum and watch the football, but I do not let them distract me from what's going
Well, that's the
on.
thing, right?
That's a little bit of a difference, but yeah.
Yeah, because I tell people too, it's like you can watch whatever you'd like. Just don't let it get in the way of you understanding what's happening in the world. Because it's like I watch a lot of stuff too, but I still look past it. I still go around. But that's the thing, like, because I have this discussion in my family, because people will ask me, how come you know how to deal with kids? I go, well, I don't have kids of my own. I was never married, but I got to watch it from the outside a lot and
Uh-huh.
really pay attention to it and really see. I had no skin in the game. I had no jeopardy, so I could look at it from from a
Objective.
yeah, objective lens. So now I have all this kind of stuff that now you can use. But here's the deal: I don't have kids. I was never married, but I was the outlier but the outlier is usually in a position to see what's happening objectively because they're not, unless they're bitter, that's different. But
I was going to say, if they care enough
yeah,
to look and to be objective, then that is one of the most well-informed people you're ever going to
right,
find. Because you're in that position where you can see what's happening, you can assess, you can evaluate, you can do all the things, and the skin isn't in the game, but
right,
your caring is.
yes, but yes,
And that's the difference, right? If people don't care, then they're not going to be of any use at all because they're not going to see
right,
anything. And yeah, so that's absolutely valid and valuable. But
right,
right now, we've got to get to a place of
right,
objectivity where you can look at what's happening and see, well, who are we actually blaming for this? Who are we yelling at? Who are we
right,
scapegoating? Who's the community now? Oh, trans, gay,
hmm,
black,
yeah,
Hispanic, indigenous, because they're
hmm,
having a hard time again. If it ever stopped. But there's so much going on
yeah,
and people yelling about all of it and they're running in all the different directions. And meanwhile, the people who are pulling the strings are having a lovely time because they're using everybody's energy against them. They're
yep,
setting them up for a fall and laughing all the way to the bank while they float in their swimming pools drinking their alcohol. Like whoa,
yeah,
really drives me nuts. Really, really drives me nuts.
yeah. It makes me think of the thing I had said when you were first, not the first episode, but one of the first episodes I was talking about when I was a kid, about 12, right? And I was at a track and field meet, and everyone was cheering for this one person, right? Pouring their
Right.
energy. And I just kind of went, that energy is available. And I pulled it into myself, and I ended up winning that race by a spectacular margin, by a pretty decent
Uh-huh.
margin. So it was like, you're giving your energy out, and you have no idea what to do with it. And me, just intuitively doing it, figured it out as a 12-year-old. So you can imagine now
Right.
with experience and more than just one person with experience doing this. Like, I mean, and there's a lot of non-magical redirecting your energy that's happening. But I'm going to go out and put it out on a limb and say that there's also magical people in the administration.
Well, Hitler used a lot of occult.
Yeah,
It's not the first time by any means in even in modern history, let alone ancient. Hitler didn't make a move without consulting various paths, shall we say, of occult. So look at the swastika.
yeah,
It is a reverse symbol from Buddhism.
yeah,
It's occult, like everything about that was. So yeah, you bet. And the evangelicals that spout a lot of nonsense
yeah,
for the cameras. I'd love to know what's going on. Actually, I'm not sure I have the stomach for knowing what they're doing behind doors, but if
yeah,
ever you wanted to see somebody who was the embodiment of what Christians like to call evil, there you go. Have a look at those guys. They're absolutely horns and all. Those are
right.
your people.
But that's what I mean. Like, so you're putting your energy out there and people are using your energy because you're not guiding your
Uh-huh.
energy. You're just letting it be thrown out there. You're just reacting what people are saying instead of actually taking responsibility for your own energy, and it makes it available. I'm not in the
Uh-huh.
business of using other people's energies anymore, but I don't play that game anymore, but I used to for a while.
Right, but there's stories. I'm trying to think more clearly about this one, but there's I'll just give you the bare bones of it. There's a
Right.
character that wants to climb a tree, but
Hmm.
they're not expected to be able to climb a tree.
Right.
And so as that character starts climbing the tree, everybody's yelling, "You can't do that. Look at you, you
Mm-hmm.
idiot. You're never going to make it. What's the problem with you?" Only the character doing the tree climbing couldn't hear them.
Right.
And so what that individual got was, oh, look, everybody's cheering for me. They're all, waving
Yeah.
their hands and they're all excited. So they're
Mm.
cheering for me. Yay. And that person took that energy
Yeah.
and felt cheered on. And so they climbed to the top of the tree,
Hmm.
believing that everybody believed in them, right?
Yeah.
So that's pretty much what you just described too. You take that energy, and if you can be absolutely convinced that it's positive, it's for you kind of thing,
Hmm.
then you can use it. So,
Yeah.
but by the same token, if everybody's yelling and you think you have to join in
Mm,
and yell obscenities or whatever as well,
yeah,
okay, but where's your autonomy? Where's your decision making? Where's your progress? Where's your growth? Where's your development? Where is your connection
yeah,
to spirit? Where is your connection to the earth that we live on?
right. Actually, you know what? That leads me to another thing. Because another thing I was discussing this week was, you know, people were looking at stuff online. They were telling me, how do people post stupid stuff like this? And it's like it's people they know who they have respect for. So it's like, why are they posting this? And I said, well, I'm going to offer this up. This is actually like a skill issue, and I'll explain. When you when you're talented at something or you're good at something, if you pay attention to what you're doing, nothing you're doing is really random. You're assessing things out, you're paying attention, you're doing whatever sense you need to engage in to figure out if what you're doing is correct. If it's wrong, you step back, you analyze it, you do the next thing to see if you can improve it. When you're no good at anything, you essentially just basically do something and hope it works out.
Hmm.
And so, and then where I took that from there was I said, now imagine when you agree with something, do you do your due diligence and check it twice or three times?
Yeah, of course not.
Right. But if
Confirmation
someone
bias.
disagrees with you check it two or three times so you can make your counter argument.
Or you just yell.
Yes. But I mean, the point is that you fight back on it and you will
Yeah.
try to prove the other person wrong. But if a person
Yes.
agrees with you, you don't go out of your way to try to prove them wrong.
Right.
I said, so if someone agrees with the person posting, agrees with the poster, and not necessarily the post, they don't fight the post because they agree with the person posting. So they just assume, well, they must be correct. I said, and people do that all the time because if someone agrees with us and we agree with them and they post something, even if we don't necessarily agree with it, it's like, whatever, it's close enough. They agree with what I do. So there must be something that's okay in there. It's fine. And then people will post stuff and they won't do the due diligence.
Hmm.
It's like if you want to look at science, right? There was a thing in Italy where some scientists had found a particle or thought they found a particle that goes faster than the speed of light. Well, that the equipment got torn apart a whole bunch of times, the notes were scoured through, and they didn't find that there was actually an issue in the equipment. But they never would have done that if they had gotten the math what they wanted.
Right. Yep.
So, or it's just the thing, right? Extraordinary claims require extraordinary proof. So what you're telling me is your normal proof is not enough.
Hmm.
But people don't look
Yeah.
at it that way. They don't realize that wording. If an extraordinary claim requires extraordinary proof, shouldn't all your claims require extraordinary proof? If you want to be equal in your awareness of something or your knowledge of something to make sure you're correct on it?
Especially when it involves the future of other people,
Right.
right? That is so important. And again, looking at the way people who are screaming about Palestine beat up Jews, you are affecting you're traumatizing an
Right.
entire group of people who cannot solve your problem, even if they want to. They
Right.
cannot. They are not empowered to do so. So you're part of that problem. You were part of a hate crime. You're part of this whole evil
Mhm.
thing. Is that what you intended? Like, is that what you wanted to do? Because it is, in fact, what you're doing. And all the excuses in the world can come forward. None of them hold up. Look
Right.
at it. It cannot hold up. It does not make sense. The connections are not there.
Right.
Whether you're pro whatever, it doesn't matter. Doesn't matter which side you're on.
Hmm.
You cannot have the group of people who are currently being victimized. They cannot fix your problem.
Right.
So there's no point. Same with trans, same with
Right.
gay, same with all the groups, same with women, in that what women are being targeted for, which is their reproductive
Mm.
abilities. Like, if you think Americans aren't having enough babies, first of all, what? Secondly, have you seen the mortality rate
Mm.
for women in childbirth in this country? I think it's the second worst rate in the developed
Well, I
world,
was going to say,
something
yeah,
like
for an
that.
industrial, for a developed country, it's like very sad.
It is appalling. And it's probably a lot worse than we are aware of. And it is getting worse by the day because of the
Hmm.
legislation. How is the legislation that's happening right now? How's that going to fix the problem? Like, how is that going to solve whatever people are telling you is missing? No, we're doing all the wrong things right now,
Hmm.
and just shouting about it and not actually taking action, not
Right.
actually doing anything that moves the project forward. And meanwhile, you can see witch hunts are coming. You can see
Mm.
them building up, and what's happening? People are like too busy yelling, "Look, there's a Jew. Let's go beat them up." It's no, no, no. They're coming for you if you don't fit into that mainstream.
Well, that's the
Like you
thing.
think you're
Right.
safe now, but you are not. They are coming for you too.
Hmm.
You might not be first on the list, but you're there on the list. So,
Yeah.
you know,
Yeah. And even
it's a
if you
whole lot
weren't
of
specifically on
craziness.
the list, you can be put on it pretty quickly.
It takes a second,
Yeah.
right? That's the thing. Your fortunes can change so quickly. Farmers here, most of the farmers, rural communities tend to be Republican. That's
Mm.
seems odd, but that is how it is. They tend to be
You would think
Republican.
at this point
So
it would be antithetical for a farmer to be Republican at this point.
But and maybe they're starting to change their minds, but generations of farmers have all been Republican, and so they voted for what they're currently getting, which is they're losing their farms.
Right.
But the knock on from that is we're going to be losing our food chain.
Yep.
So there's a whole lot going on, and people aren't looking at it properly. They're too busy. Let's yell about this thing over here. Dude, are you making a difference? Is it changing? You've been screaming for 2 years now. Is it getting better? No? Okay, maybe we do something different.
Yep.
The definition of insanity and all that. Doing the same thing over and over again and expecting a different outcome.
Yeah.
Hello?
For the magically
It's
inclined, I want to point something out because I want them to look deeper than what other people are doing. You have to realize in the States, Trump got in because the Democrats offered nothing
Mhm.
to dissuade them from voting for Trump. Nothing. They got on their high horses, acted like assholes, and got what they deserved, which is unfortunately people who fell for that because you can't. I always say this to people: if you voted for who you actually wanted to vote for instead of the stupid "I don't want to waste my vote" thing, you wouldn't have wasted your vote because everyone would have voted for something different.
there was
Yeah.
a lot of things at play. And I mean, a
And that
lot
was
of
like provided
people,
you believe voting still works.
and of course,
Yeah.
well, yeah, Elon Musk messed with an awful lot of computers. And
Mm.
so, the election that was won probably wasn't. But let's just leave it where it is now because that's going to be a lot of
Yeah.
unraveling.
Yes.
However, the issue with the system, and again, it's the patriarchal system, and you
Mm.
have these two big groups to choose between. Well, one is so smug that they've got it all right, and that's fine if you happen to fit in their demographic,
Hmm.
like don't be Jewish, for example. If you fit in their demographic, then yeah, great. You can all pat each other on the back and be very smug about it. But they didn't offer anything for anybody to change their minds or for even people sitting on the fence like I was.
Hmm.
They,
Right.
they didn't offer anything to entice me over. Neither did the other side, actually. They screamed at
Right.
me as well. But the thing is, when you've got these two camps that are just screaming at each other, again, how is anything changing? And a lot of people said, well, I voted for him instead of her to piss off the liberals. Congratulations, you have
Yeah.
trashed an entire massive, gigantic country
Right.
for some petulant fucking tantrum, foot
Hmm.
stomping tantrum. Well, good for you. Well done. I hope
Yeah.
you are massively proud of yourself because seriously, but that's what they voted for. Well, okay. How's your healthcare going?
Yeah.
Do you have insurance? I don't. How's it working for you with your grocery bills?
Oh.
Because I'm finding it pretty savage.
Yeah.
But the Democrat side, what did they offer? I kept seeing during the campaign, I kept seeing these memes of Kamala Harris, and the question over the top was, have you got her back? And every time I saw that one, every single time, I would jump on and say, the
Yeah.
question is, does she have mine?
Yeah.
And I would
She had the
always
same
get
advisors Hillary Clinton had, and look how well
they
that worked out
learn
for
from the
Hillary.
first one, obviously.
Yeah.
You know, like, no, you don't, by being smug and smiling and saying that you've got it in the bag,
Mm,
doesn't, generally speaking, get it in the bag, right? And by being an asshole, apparently does. But
mm,
because it's what he was doing spoke to that sort of level of emotion. Again, it's what are you making people
yep.
feel? I'm making them mad about these people who want to have universal health care. Grr, what a bad thing.
Mm,
Sorry, what? But okay, if that's your stance. That's the whole point, though. People were made to be angry about wanting to raise the minimum wage, wanting to have
mm,
universal health care. What kind of power have you got over a person when you can make them mad about that?
yeah.
That is fascinating. And it's the perfect example of that's how much power you have over making that human do things when you've got them emotional.
Yeah.
And that's where we're at. So those emotions, like you got to use them correctly. Where are you letting somebody else direct you?
Yeah. It's funny. Well, I guess they turned it into a podcast too, but people I follow on YouTube, they always call it the peasant mindset, you know?
Okay, yeah. You got
It's
the
like these billionaires, because
overlords.
they're treating political parties or billionaires and stuff like that, like as if they're like feudal lords and you're the peasant following what they say. And then because they'll carry water for them, it's like, how's that peasant mindset working for you? This person's going to screw you
Right.
completely. And they're like saying
Exactly.
it, they're going to screw you completely right in front of you. You're just not deciphering it.
Yeah. My overlord's better than your
Yeah.
overlord. Mm,
Now, to be
my
fair,
my my level of poverty is better than your level of
yeah.
poverty.
Well, because what is it they say? The people who tend to agree with that kind of stuff consider themselves temporarily inconvenienced billionaires because they're poor right now, but they will one day be rich by virtue of their hard work.
Right, because we all know that
Yeah,
virtue of hard work is how all the leaders who got to their
yeah.
billions got there, right?
Hmm.
Every one of them, not one of them lied, cheated, probably murdered their
Had
way to where they
connections
are.
or yeah,
None of them. No, no. None of them did that. None of them made shady backroom deals. They're not
yeah.
doing them as we speak. No, not at
But
all.
yeah, and we're on this podcast. The people who really fall for that kind of stuff really readily aren't listening. They've listened for five
I
minutes and
don't
went
think
out
so.
and went away. Like normally I give the caveat, like, you know what, if you're one of those people and you manage to stay on, I'll say it again. Like I'll work with it. Fine. Listen, stay, hope you grasp from it. But I'm willing to bet that, and I'm not saying this to be condescending. I'm saying this because you have a lot of work to do before you can really flow with the podcast at this point. Because the podcast at this point is not for the beginners. It was initially under the title Think Like a Wizard. This podcast was for beginners. And if you listen from the beginning, you're no longer a beginner because you would have
Right.
evolved with the podcast. So, in the very least, if you are in that group and you are listening to this podcast, go back to the beginning. Pause this one. You've already heard enough stuff to probably make your blood boil as it is. But go back to the beginning and grow at your pace because we're like too far in now to now really bring someone fresh.
Mhm. And full disclosure, I didn't know I was going to get this annoyed. I wasn't feeling annoyed at the start of the podcast at all, but it's what channeled through and
Mm.
it needed to come
The
out for
spirit
some
world is
reason.
very
Like,
annoyed by stuff, and I don't blame it.
yes, yeah, no, there's so much going on that if I tap into it, it's like a stream of flowing
Mm.
lava. If I tap into it, it's just like, ah, but there's so many streams of flowing lava out
Mm.
there, and a lot of them are unconscious,
Yeah.
where people are getting pulled in and sucked along into this. Let's all fight against this group of people or
Yeah.
that group of people. Why are you worried who uses the bathroom? Like, seriously, are you honestly spending that much time thinking about what genitalia might be in the stall next
Mm.
to you? For crying out loud.
Yeah. You know,
You know,
this,
this is not an
I
issue.
see the value in this stream. of the lava. Because think about this. The caring that the person installed next to you, whatever their genitalia is, when you worded it that way, it hit me. The fact that you don't have a unisex bathroom wherever you're going is a whole different issue that led to the rest of these issues coming. If people
Yes,
didn't care
it
about
would be
having
so
unisex
easily solved.
bathrooms, no one would have cared if a trans person was next in the stall because it wouldn't have
And,
mattered.
and and why do you not have unisex bathrooms everywhere? Like it makes this is so archaic. We don't
Well, it's
need.
and this leads to another control method. People are so afraid of what someone's going to do to them, they don't actually look at what the actual odds are of it happening to them.
And also, when things do happen,
Yeah,
what's the situation? Because by and large, it's not going to be the solution that we're advocating for. Like
right.
unisex bathrooms, just have a unisex bathroom for crying out loud.
Hmm.
It's why
Well,
is this a problem?
and this is the thing that's interesting, right? In North America, for some reason, I can't say, I don't know, Mexico, I can't say for Mexico, but Canada and the United States have a very weird situation in the bathrooms. We have stalls you can look under and things you can look
Mm,
through for some reason, instead of having like, here's a wall, the door shuts, and you have your own little private cubicle. Instead, it's basically a barely like it's the you get enough to give a bare minimum of what's necessary
yeah, just
for
put
just
proper doors on.
viewing. Like unless you have to go out of your way. But the point is, if you go out of your way, you can do it without much effort.
Just just put proper doors on. There you
Yeah.
go. Problem solved. Like it. So the whole thing is a nonsense to be
Yeah.
yelling about who's using what when. And something I think I might have mentioned this on the podcast
Mm,
previously, but it comes up again, is for years, my mom,
mm,
like all my life that I can recall of her, she wore jeans by preference pretty much
right.
all the time, right? And women's bathrooms often
Mm,
have very long queues.
right.
So, it takes women a bit longer.
Hmm.
There's a little more to
Yeah.
navigate than for the guys sometimes. So she would stand there and she'd look at the queue and she'd look at the door and then she'd look down at her own legs and she'd kind of
Mm,
look up again and see the figure of, the jean legs, if you will,
right.
basically the one representing the male.
Yeah.
She'd
Yeah.
look at herself, she'd look at that, she'd look at herself, and she'd say, "Yep, I'm good," and she'd go in there.
Yeah.
And she did it all my life that I can remember. She was doing that in the 70s, in the 80s, in the 90s. Like she never stopped doing that because she couldn't be asked to wait in the long queue.
Yeah.
And people would look astonished at her. She didn't give a rat's ass. She would go in there
Yeah.
anyway because she wanted to use the bathroom.
Yeah.
And she was wearing jeans, and it said jeans. She was
Yeah.
wearing jeans. That was it.
Yeah.
Her attitude in this particular
Mhm.
instance, her attitude, 100% admire it. It's like,
Yeah.
yep, she was way ahead of her time.
Yeah. It's interesting, right? Like this actually expands my point even more. The things we've done that are really in like I'm going to use the word inconsequential, not meaning that the things that have come from it are inconsequential, but the decisions made in the first place have led to so many issues that don't matter. Like it's I bring up the thing with the whole taking the citizen test in Canada where there was a whole big kerfuffle about having the person take off her face covering. It's like
Mhm.
we need to verify it's you. I don't understand. Like no one is doing, and the reason you have the face cover, that's not involved in this
Involved in
situation
this
at
situation.
all. It's like this has
Right.
nothing to do with the situation. So why is it a big deal? We're just making sure you're who you are. That's it.
It's irrelevant, in fact, because
Yeah.
and even if you hold religion sacrosanct, first
Hmm.
of all, why are you listening to us? But secondly,
Hmm.
even if you think that's important, those things aren't religious. There is
No,
no
no, and
religion
they're
that
not.
requires
That's the whole
face
thing.
covering. So, and if you're not in the country where these things are required, why do you have to do it?
Hmm.
Because the people you're with expect you to? Well, no. I wouldn't go into, I could speak from experience. I would not walk around in a Muslim country dressed in the way I would dress in
Right.
the US, for example. I have lived in two Muslim countries, and I did not dress that this way. I dressed the way they would prefer because it was
Yeah.
appropriate in that environment.
Right.
100%. Yeah, fully there for it. Like that works in that environment. So, trying to bring your thing here and then make it relevant, no, just no.
Yeah.
Just lift up the face covering, get your photo taken, let
Yeah.
somebody have a look at you. It's not, if you need a private room, okay, fine, do that
Yeah.
if that's such a big deal, but you got to do it. That's we get caught up on minutiae that aren't
Right.
important.
And what surprised me before 9/11, if you were Muslim, you could get your driver's license covered with your face covered, your driver's
Which
license
is
photo.
ridiculous because how do you
Yeah.
know who's driving?
Yeah. But it's just
If
like
Face
it's these
ID
things that
is
have nothing to do with why you have that structure on. These have nothing to do with why you're doing this. This is just like completely has nothing to do with why you have to do that. I keep repeating it because I don't know what else to say. It's like it's irrelevant to the reason why you're covering your face. This is just to identify you, like, and this
yeah,
helps you, the person. Like
well,
that's why I
you
think
have to
certain
have that,
religious practices
otherwise,
have nothing to do with religion, have nothing, or certain supposed religious practices as well, right?
yeah. But even if if it's a requirement for everybody else, it's a requirement for you.
Right.
That's just straight up what it is. And
Well, it goes back to what
and
I said, right? It's your religion not allowing you to do it. So why are you going to the thing where your religion won't allow you to go there? It's your religion not allowing you to do it.
and again, it's your issue, so you figure it out,
Yeah,
right? Like it's not other people's issues. But not having the safety of being able to see your face, so you know who's driving,
right.
is the person who's supposed to be.
Hmm.
I mean, we could all walk around with balaclavas on then,
Yeah.
the ski masks and stuff. Cool. That'd end well in a hurry. I could see that going well. It's the same thing,
I was going to say, just to be humorous, in Canada in the winter,
right?
you will see a lot of people with balaclavas on. So you can't just automatically assume a place is being robbed. But eventually
But
people take them off to identify themselves. So,
But I was going to say,
yeah.
if the cops stop you because you've been speeding or something, they are going to expect to see your
Yeah.
face on your driver's
Yeah.
license, and they're going to expect to see your face
Yeah.
in a hurry when they're checking to see if you were the person who's in the driver's license.
Yep.
So, it's kind of it's a thing. But I think we're getting a little sidetracked on that
We
one
are.
because it's minutiae.
Yeah.
And we can't keep getting sucked into let's fight over this and I'm right and you have to listen to me. Like, could you just be objective and look at it for yourselves and see the common sense that's there? Like,
Yep.
I don't think I've said anything today that can be disputed with fact.
Right. I will
And
say this
if
though.
I have,
To be fair, I pulled a card from a new deck I had, the Animal Elders
Elder
Oracle
Loon,
deck,
I feel
the
like
Elder
one.
Loon. And the Elder Loon's message is to do a deep dive.
There you go. Very
So,
cool.
I mean, I didn't
But
look at the
I'm
description in the book, but just the sub little quote at the bottom is deep dive.
I'm going to put this out there that I don't think I've said anything today that can be disproven using fact. So if somebody feels that they can disprove, by all means, let me know.
Yes,
Tell me about it.
yes. In fact, this is a challenge. If you disagree with anything on this episode,
Yeah.
bring
I know.
receipts.
I
Bring
want to
receipts.
hear it.
Yeah, and bring
I
receipts.
want I want to hear it. And you better have something other than, yeah, well, I don't like that.
Yeah.
No, I need something. You tell me how beating up Jews is going to save Palestine. Just tell me how that works. Tell me how it's worked before and how is it working right this minute. And do you actually think Benjamin Netanyahu gives a shit?
Well, that's what I was going to say.
Right?
This is unfortunately a
That's the
bad thing for
person you
Jews
need
around
to
the
look
world,
at.
is that Israel is unfortunately a problem right now. And by Israel, I mean the government, because the government is a bunch of people trying to save their own asses right now.
The government is the problem. So here's the thing, people all around the world aren't saying, let's beat up all the Americans that we find because Trump is a problem.
Right.
They could, and it would be exactly the same logic. So are you telling me that if you travel to another country from this one, that You should be in trouble for that? Really? People who aren't American living in America should be beating up Americans on that theory. It's no, I don't think so. So if somebody wants to come at me, knock yourselves out, go for it, and bring the receipts because
Yeah.
I'm definitely feeling feisty.
But it's good to bring the receipts, right?
Oh yeah,
That is an
you
absolute
bring it.
requirement, though. The receipts are an
Yes.
absolute requirement.
Yeah, I am not going to be impressed by somebody hurling abuse or like, yeah, well, you're an idiot. Be original at least, but bring the
Yeah.
receipts. Like, yeah, you're gonna argue, bring it.
Yeah.
I'll go for it.
And I'll offer
I'm
the
definitely hella feisty right now. Oh my God, and the card I just pulled. This is
oh yeah.
epic.
What is it? Patience?
Patience. There's a crow and a skull, and it says, practice patience in times of uncertainty. It allows space for understanding and resolution. And that I think I'm going to keep as the topmost card for the
Hmm.
moment because that is hilarious, given my distinct
Well, I'll offer this.
flow today.
I'm going to discuss something with Michaela after this episode is over, but I'm going to give a preview. I cast a spell that essentially would amount to opening a pathway to eternity.
Mm,
And
okay.
some of that energy has been made available to you. So,
So clear your garbage out so that you're able to access it.
well, also part of what I'm getting at is one might make the leap of logic in saying that, well, if you have access to the pathway of eternity, there's probably a lot of excessive energy probably soaking into you.
True, true. Because boy, a whole heap came up for me. A whole heap came
Yeah.
up for me.
Yeah.
So,
We're not discussing it on the podcast because there's other details around it that are not, that I don't know if the listeners are actually ready for yet. But
yeah, we'll get there.
yeah. Well, because it was one of those things where I'm told not to mention it, but I can give a taste.
Uh-huh.
Because
Jesus.
because we are at a point, right, where it's not about planning and all that kind of stuff anymore. It's about doing. So you need to at least have the concept that there are certain things that can be done that you may not be thinking about right now. And so there's
Mhm.
an energy conduit open that is very powerful, which essentially I'm calling the pathway to eternity. And Michaela's probably getting a taste of it because I did do a spell to give Michaela access if she wanted it. So she's probably getting a taste of it.
Well, that would explain a whole bunch of things going on
Yeah.
right now. Yes.
But there's more to that as well. That's only one component to it. But so when that's discussed, we might actually talk about it on the podcast. So you know what? That's actually your incentive for those of you really, really now into it, into this kind of into this practice, having a spiritual practice, a magical practice. This podcast is just going to get juicier and juicier for you at this
Woohoo.
point.
I'm here for it.
Yeah. Well, if you hadn't already
I'm here
noticed
for it.
it, it is going to get more juicy from
Yeah.
that
Well,
perspective.
uh-huh. And for my part, I just bring whatever comes up. So
Yeah.
I
Well,
have one final thing
all
to
right.
offer, and then I think I am done for
Yeah.
this session. I don't know about you. And that is the crow that offers
Ooh.
protection. So, this final message is feel secure in your strength and resilience. You have the power to overcome challenges.
Yes.
That's the final piece for today from me.
No, that's where we are. There's right now a lot of protection needed because there's a lot of stuff happening in the magical sense. And you do have to, for my own, to say it humorously, you have to gird your loins right now. You have to be prepared. You have to be a willing participant in this, no longer standing by wishy-washy. Wishy-washy gets washed away in the tide.
Yep.
And
Hello,
That pleasant
Buttercup.
note, once again, she's Michaela Gaffinstone.
And he is Daniel Dubois.
Till next time.
À la prochaine.